Come on, YouTube. You can do it. You can start the stream. There we go. All right. Welcome back to the channel, Crypto Trend Trader, with our Sunday evening market look ahead. It is 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on 11/20/2022. 11/20/2022. And before we get started, as always, I'd like to remind you this is not financial advice. I'm not your financial advisor. These markets are extremely volatile. Please do your own research, trade responsibly. All right. So, yeah, sorry I missed you guys on Friday. Obviously, skipped the stream. If you're not in the group, obviously you wouldn't have known, and you would just been left in the dark. But yeah, sorry about that if you missed it. And if you did miss it, make sure you check out the next one, because we do it every single Sunday, Wednesday, and Friday. But that being said, let's jump right in and look at these charts. So the most notable things that we see happening are essentially markets across the board looking like they're potentially topping or bottoming. So obviously we've seen some counter trend rallies hitting key support or resistance. So we've had TNX has been going up for some time, and now it's coming back down, trying to find some support. Obviously, we know the next key level was that previous swing at about 360, and we're back testing resistance. We're below the 8 and 21, bunch of red histograms. We're in the bearish control zone. So overall, what we're going to look at is from this previous swing right here. If we just slap a little Fibonacci on there, drag it up to the top, it looks like we're basically back testing the 236. Makes sense. That's where we broke down from. So it seems likely we're going to come back down here, retest the 382. Also the yellow previous swing, and then we'll see what happens from there. Now TNX and DXY have been traveling together in their little rocket ship, and DXY has pulled back substantially all the way back to the 200s. So while DXY is showing signs of exhaustion of the downtrend, again, been going parabolic, come all the way back down and back tested the 200s here, we see TNX has not corrected nearly as much. Now, part of that is, arguably the manipulation or control or whatever you want to call it, based on the actual Fed's control of like their Fed fund target rate. You don't expect, no matter how deep a retracement it's going to have or whatever, you wouldn't expect the 2 or 10-year yield to drop like super, super low. So in many ways, doing technical analysis on something like bonds or yields can be a little different and not quite as reliable. So we'll see, but we know these two have been traveling together, DXY and TNX. We know DXY had a pretty heavy pullback to the 200s, to our key support area, a backtest of key Fibonacci levels, after basically a parabolic run up. So what's going to happen next? We're going to backtest this resistance here, potentially backtest this ascending support. And now we got to keep in mind, we could potentially, this happens very often, come all the way back up here, retest the highs, possibly even put in a new high, and then this is actually topping over. Starting on the daily, then the weekly, then potentially the monthly. That is always a possibility. So while we have ridden this DXY trend fast and hard for some time now, it's not, we don't want to get married to a specific trade or a specific narrative. So it is worth paying attention to what could happen, but likely, we have found support and we're going to come back up here and retest resistance. And the DXY is likely going to put a lot of pressure on a lot of assets, as it has been throughout this year. So let's jump over and check out oil now. So oil is doing something really important. So again, we went absolutely parabolic after oil basically went to zero. We got the blow off top. We got the lower high. We had a nice horizontal support here. We lost the support. We back tested it. Corresponded with the 200 moving averages. 200 exponential flipped red. 200 simple flipped pink, or whatever color that is. So now we're below both the moving averages, and they are both red or pink respectively. So we went from a bull trend to a bear trend. The bull trend started back here in November of 2020, and the price was about $40. The bear trend started right back here on the retest and breakdown at about $80. So 100% move, but it's over. it's over for now. Doesn't mean we have to put in lower lows. Doesn't mean, that we don't just go sideways for a month or 3 months or 2 years. But the fact of the matter is, the simple way that we deal, which is in trend, the base case for, our entire strategy, more for investing, but for trading on shorter time frames as well. But the entire base case for our strategy, obviously following trend, and now oil is officially in a bear market. It's in a downtrend, or at least at the bare minimum, a consolidation. So there's nothing that makes me want to get bullish on oil right now. So as long as we're putting in a high, a low, a lower high, a lower low, and then a double top lower high again. I mean, a bullish retest would have been the 200 simple. A bearish retest is the second retest we top on the 200 exponential and lower. I mean, that's about as bearish as it gets. We come down, retest the neckline. We now have an M topping pattern. We lose the neckline. The measure move is, the distance from the top of one of our little M double tops to the actual neckline, which is basically just takes us right back down to the lows. And if we have a high, a low, a lower high, a lower low, a lower high or two, what do we expect? Another lower low. So it looks like we're about to sweep the lows here in the mid 70s. And then Critty might be about to get that next target hit. I mean, let's be real here. We've been talking about the high 60s. It sounded fucking insane when everybody else is calling for $200 oil. You guys know we got our nut up to about 114 was our target. We're back at 80 now, and it looks like, honestly, I mean, looks like we're going to at least the low 70s, probably high 60s. But it could get nasty. We'll have to see. If we switch over to the weekly time frame, we can get a little bit of more confluence with the moving averages. Let me just flip that over. So we can see basically we have the 200 exponential on the weekly at 72. We have the 200 simple on the weekly at 65. So those are our next two step downs. Now on this time frame on the weekly, this looks very clear like what happened. We had a blow off top type deal right here. We had a higher high close right here. Probably tricked quite a few people once we saw a new weekly higher high that we were going to higher prices, because I typically go off of closes, especially on longer time frames, not wicks. So depends how you look at it. A lot of people get tricked when it puts in a higher close or it puts in a higher wick, but not a higher close. It's definitely just a little confusion. It sows the seeds of confusion in the markets. And, that's the last thing markets want. They want as much confluence as possible. So after we basically double topped here on bearish divergence on the weekly, which was very, very predictable. So even if you didn't get out on the initial, sell, you had a bearish divergence higher high that you could sell into that was very, very clear. Since then, it looks doesn't look to me like this correction is over. It looks like we have one leg down, then we had a retracement of that leg down, and now we're getting ready for another leg down. So there's many ways that we can quantify what's happening here. And obviously, this is like super simple. Your kid could draw this chart. Descending channel, breakout, ascending channel, breakdown from the ascending channel, resume trend. That's what I'm seeing right now. That's what I'm expecting. That's what I'm predicting. So depending on how we want to look at this, if we basically draw a little something like that and just take it over here, a little something like that can give us a rough measured move for like an ABC correction. When we hit the 0 right here, which is our Fibonacci that's in place. Hang on one second. Oh my gosh, this is my least favorite chart ever. Okay. Okie dokie. All right, so when we hit the Fibonacci from right here, I don't know if you guys can actually see that. Let me switch the color a little bit. Brighten it up a little. There we go. That's a little better. So when we come from the wick right here to the wick down here, and then we see what's our retracement, we come up here and we hit exactly at the 382. So obviously this was our clear resistance. We were talking about we're bouncing inside that channel, and until we took out either the low here in yellow or the line I just deleted, which is the 382, we were obviously expecting to just trend sideways. So we pick the direction, and with our leg in consolidation, we were expecting a breakdown and another leg to the downside. I'm still very bullish on oil long term, but right now that's not what we're seeing. So we got a nice 382 retracement, not super bullish. A super bullish retracement would have been maybe the 0.5 at about 100, which is what we were looking out for. But instead, we got denied right here on the 21. We got denied a second time on the 21. Those corresponded to the 200s on the daily. And now we swept the lows. So again, seems very, very likely we're about to just put that little extra leg in. And then actual, continuation, potential measure move, it doesn't look that crazy that we would put in an a B to the 382, and then a C. And then once we put in the C, what really has happened? Well, we basically, this is our macro fib right here, this one in gray. Once we come down here to that, we're at the 236 right now. That was basically our little double bottom. So if we blow through the 200 exponential, we blow through the 200 simple, we complete the measure move, and where are we at? We're at the 382 on the macro, $60. So any one of these could be our next step down. Obviously, first support, previous low. Second support, 200 exponential. Third, 200 simple. Fourth, 382. And then regardless of what happens, could this develop then into, a big A and then a macro B bounce and then an even bigger C, and it was an ABC inside an ABC? Sure. Could that be the macro low? And now it's time to, moon, retest the highs, eventually take that out, start putting in new cycle highs? Yeah, I think that's likely to happen eventually. But we don't know, what path it's going to take to get there. So the best thing to do is plot out both those paths and then, just kind of play it by ear. So right now, what I'm seeing when we plot out these passes, obviously we took out that high right here, or I'm sorry, we double topped at that high right here, and then we came back down and we took out that previous swing low. So now maybe we come back up here and retest that swing low, maybe not, but that one's no longer relevant. We don't need that anymore. It's gone. We already violated it. And once it's violated, maybe it's useful or whatever. We're just taking it off to keep the clutter off the chart. We'll see it pretty clearly if we get a push back up here. We know we're looking out for like 83. So the next thing to watch now is that white support, which is the previous low. So now again, is it possible now we bounce off that low and come all the way back up and retest the yellow? Sure. I mean, and then we're just in a bigger range with the heart line basically being the middle of that channel. So we'll see what happens. The longer we consolidate under the 200s in a confirmed bear market, the more algo is going to flip. And with oil putting pressure, I mean, gas prices don't necessarily have to come down immediately, but over time you would expect them to come down. And again, this further confirms what we were talking about, a month ago when we were talking about the difference between OPEC's actual production and OPEC's, maximum production. The gap between what they're allowed to produce, and what they can actually produce has been huge. So all they're really doing is closing the gap. So when we hear about them cutting production, all they're really doing is trying to accommodate for falling demand. So, and, again, just a further, I guess proof, potential proof that we're going into recession, that we're in recession, however you want to look at it. I mean, it's a weird situation because when you start pulling a bunch of levers, sometimes things don't look the same. It doesn't mean we're not in a recession, but unemployment where it's at, I mean, it's hard to argue that we're in a recession. But when you look at actual growth, it's hard to argue that we haven't actually been in a recession for like 10 years. So I don't know. People have been calling for this Great Depression. Maybe that's what's been going on the last 10 years. It just didn't look so bad. I don't know. We'll see. There's a lot of ways you could take a lot of different macro views. But it's easy to get lost in the, I'm sure I'm right and miss out on the daily, monthly, yearly moves. Or, end up like Peter Schiff and miss out on decades. So VIX is next. So obviously the VIX broke down from key support. Next level to watch is that previous swing low. We talked about the potential for a back test and move back to the upside. Risk reward at this point in time, obviously, looks like we'll come down here and take out the low, likely to retest the other low over here. It does look like the moving averages, or the stochastics starting to roll back down. So we'll see when it comes back down. Does it find support at the 20? Find support at the pink and then get a move back to the upside? That seems likely. But could we put in a low before that happens and then print some bullish divergence? It's possible. It's possible. The VIX has been a little less reliable lately. So Dow Jones. So we've talked about this quite a bit. This is the, line in the sand. Everybody's looking for. Do we take out that previous high? Do we flip these 200s bullish? Is it time to just go straight back into a roaring bull market? According to Dow Jones, it's worth considering. The stock market, at least this index, is telling us, hey, there's a chance. I don't buy it. And as long as we have a lower low right here and a lower high right here, we're still very much in a downtrend. So it is good that we're reclaiming the 200s. There's a lot of positivity happening here. Could this rally have another month of legs and just, run to the end of the year? It's possible. It is possible. Turns into, what was a short covering rally turns into a Santa Claus rally, turns into a new bull market. It's possible. I mean, I know I sound stupid saying it, but it is possible. I know if you live in the real world, you're like, dude, we're obviously going to go into recession. I get it. That's my base case. SPY is next on the daily. Backtesting the 200s, painting a much clearer picture, but just lower highs and lower lows, still under the 200s. I think this is telling us the truth. Triple Qs, NASDAQ looks absolutely horrendous. Again, lower highs and lower lows, nowhere near the 200s. Again, painting a very, very different picture. But now we did see one move where the Dow was running away, and then suddenly the major indices just like gapped up and just caught up. So, I mean, I would not rule out a potential move from 284 back to like 307 on the NASDAQ, on the Triple Q. Would not rule that out. I mean, that is a decent move too. But I mean, the truth is, I don't think it would be sticky. But we'll see what happens with the Dow. That's 8%. IWM, right around, the median. We'll see though. I mean, again, there's potential for a double bottom. We start coming up here. We threaten that previous high. It's going to look like a W, double bottom, if we can get up here to the neckline again. And then, again, the measure move of that W. I'm not saying I think it's going to happen. You guys know how I feel. But the measure move of that W, if we break through that 200 level on the old ready, the Russell 2000, I mean, we're talking about basically a move back to all-time highs. Is it possible that the zombie doesn't die right now? That even though we think that we're going to deal it a fatal blow with the interest rates, that we're unable to, what's the Shaun of the Dead quote? Sever the neck and dislodge the head or something like that. I mean, it's possible. Zombies are tough. They're durable. They last for a long time. So can these zombie corporations, figure out a way to raise or borrow money? Yeah, I mean, I think they can. I think they can. Or maybe just the economies will be great. And I'm just like a super bear. I don't know. I like to think I'm pretty realistic, though. So XLE is next. So we're still hanging out at the highs. Longer we consolidate here, above resistance or whatever. I mean, I guess more likely we already shoot to the upside. We're seeing the indicator oscillator cool down quite a bit, and we're just going sideways. If we just maintain at these levels, we're likely going much higher if we can hold at these levels. Now, I don't know if that's going to happen. But, I mean, even if we do see a turn down in oil prices or nat gas prices or whatever, it's still possible XLE could stay strong and keep running. So it is very important that we differentiate, the asset versus the, I guess, like space or, producers, suppliers, etc. There's definitely a difference between the underlying asset and like the companies that deal in that asset, the dealers. The oil, the evil oil dealers, the energy dealers. Yuck, they're so evil. They're just taking advantage of everyone, giving them all the energy and charging them so much money for it. We'd be better off if they just didn't even exist and we just didn't have any energy and we all just stayed warm with campfires. XDN. Transportation. God, it's so hard for me to be sarcastic and not like laugh at myself, but come on, guys. XTN transportation, backtesting the 200s. Again, much clearer picture. So right now the Dow Jones is pretty much the outlier for the major indices or the sectors. Because we just see consistent lower highs and lower lows. We do see currently a backtest of the 200s. We would expect that to act as resistance. And we did see a little weakness here in transportation, as we saw like some strength in the last couple days on the markets. We saw a little bit of weakness on semiconductors, again retesting the 200s. A lot of this move was them just catching up. A lot of it was the reversion to the mean. A lot of it was, Warren Buffett stepping in, letting people know. XLU, so reclaim support hanging out here. Looks good to me. I mean, it looks like we basically got a key test of fibs, and now we're coming up here to retest the highs. So we broke down to a key fib level. We found support. We broke out of a long-term ascending channel. After we found support, we reclaimed that channel. We're coming up here now. So what do we need to do? We need to come up here and put in a new high. Otherwise, when and if we put in a new low from that high, then we need to come back down and put in a higher low. So at this point in time, it seems like, you're basically buying support after we reclaim it with the intention to sell somewhere up in this area. So I think a key area is probably that 74 zone, the breakdown for that M, that double top. Boy, there's a lot of M's and W's going on here. Getting above the 200s would be crucial. I mean, we got basically a bunch of staggered support. I mean, but the truth is, though, it's not like we're trading XLU. It doesn't move enough for it to be. But it's a good gauge. XLP, very strong finish here at new highs. Still putting in a series of lower highs and lower lows, threatening the channel. Is it possible that I'm just bad at drawing channels and it's not really threatening it? Maybe. I don't know. Does it look better like this? And it's like, oh no, we're almost there, but you got a little too excited. We didn't quite get there. Yeah, I think you could do something like this and it would be like viable. So, give or take, we're close to breaking out. I think we're testing the threshold of the breakout of the channel. I kind of like it the other way better because we only have one touch point right here. So, like, honestly, it does seem more like I'm a bad drawer of channels. I mean, honestly, that really does look better. Obviously, we draw it in real time before we have that data point. So we didn't have this low. When we drew it, we had basically a couple points. But now, in hindsight, once we came down and put in that low at the 382 perfectly and touched the bottom of the channel, I would say something like this seems a little more reliable. And if we switch over to the weekly, we may find that one of these lines up much better than the other. So let's look where these are. Yeah, I mean, look at that off the weekly too. Yep. Yeah, I mean, that's on the weekly. So that's a triple test on the weekly tops and 2 tests on the bottom. So that's definitely how the channel should be. So if you have it drawn any other way, you're wrong. But it's okay. I was wrong too. So now that we have the adjusted channel drawn correctly, we're just like literally at resistance. So what would I expect to happen? Well, when we're at resistance, I expect a rejection. We did reclaim the 200s though. It was a pretty powerful move off the bottom. So again, the key thing to look out for is taking out that previous high. And then obviously breaking out of a descending channel is, it's worth paying attention to as well. A little more subjective though, as you can see. All right, so DXY we did already. TSLA, Tesla, closing at the lowest lows, threatening the 236. I mean, let's be real. It's just a matter of time, guys. Same way we were sitting there at the 236 in green, waiting for it to drop, for the floor to fall out and go to the 236 in blue. We know where we're going next. The official target, the Tesla nut, $137. Waiting to get there so we can fill our cheeks up like little squirrels, ready for hibernation. Loading up on that Tesla. Could go a lot lower though. I mean, it'll be a nice scalp though. Some kind of swing trade at least. At the bare minimum. Unless, the Tesla cult just suddenly dies. I don't think that's going to happen though. They're in pretty deep. Twitter could kill the Tesla cult, but I doubt it. Man, I mean, this chart's super bearish. So if you didn't know this was Tesla, you'd be like, oh, this thing's about to melt down bad. It's at key support, obviously. So we went from 1236 to the other 236. So now we're looking for a move to the 382. That is obviously, the leg down that we were looking for from the high to the low. So yeah, I mean, it seems likely. Seems likely that's where we're going. Let's look at this on the weekly and see if it paints a little clearer of a picture. This dirty girl's telling us. So yeah, we're back testing the 200 exponential for the first time since this parabolic uptrend from $17. So, I mean, we're only 10x from when the bull market started right here. So it was $17. It topped out at 400. So it had a decent move, like 35 times or something like that. Still up 10x though. Oh wait, no, that's not 35, is it? No, 20, 25? I mean, it's still okay. I mean, 25 is worth getting out of bed for. 25x. I mean, but now we're threatening that trend. So what's going to happen here? I mean, the 200 exponential has flipped bearish. We lost it as support. Looks like we're testing the 200. Simple. Which is at 161. Let's see if there's any other important things there. Not really. 161 to 163 and then 136, something like that. So we'll see how this reacts. We'll see how it reacts. It seems likely if we're going to break down from the 236, which we may not. We may immediately come back up and retest 210. It's like a 15% bounce. The real trade is if we can get it at 158 or 139 for like a real actual bounce. But the target either way is probably going to end up being the 236. So we're looking to ride this to 211. The question is it going to be from 180? Is it going to be from 160? Or is it going to be from 137? Or is it going to be from, even lower than that? I think likely we're going to see a pretty significant bounce from the 382 when we get there. But we don't want to get too excited right now. Not convinced this is necessarily going lower right now. I mean, the weakness in Tesla, though, in comparison to even other tech stocks, after how much strength. I mean, Tesla's been really strong because it had an amazing move, but then it also is down 50% from the highs, and it's at the lows right now. So I'm not sure I'm necessarily looking to scalp this underperformer. Ooh, burn. Microsoft. So again, this is my point too. Microsoft, we had that scalp trade, in play from the 0.5 with a 23% target. It moved like, almost, it was like 10 or 11%. And Tesla's at the lows. That's not good. Obviously, this looks much better. Leading off the magma with a little upside. Next, we got Apple. Again, nice bounce right here. Still retesting the 200s. We start breaking above those. I'm not going to play games anymore. And we're expecting to move back up to 172, retest that previous high. And then at that point in time, they're just doing buybacks and Warren Buffett's all in. And, we should just stop fighting the Fed. We're going back to all-time highs on everything. I mean, obviously. If not, though, if we do get rejected here, we know it's the same support we've bounced off a bunch of times. Apple holding up nicely, though. Again, Magma not looking so bad after these last, 2 weeks. Google, again, nice bounce off the 0.5, back test to the 382. I would expect it to act as resistance. We know there's just one leg down. We almost got there right here. Are we that nitpicky? It went to 83, and our target was 80. Or 76. Is it possible it's already bottomed at the 0.5? The macro 0.5? Yeah, it's possible. It's possible. I mean, the ad spend for the end of the year should be decent. So I don't know year over year what the number's going to look like specifically, but I mean, it's going to be terrible. Let's be real. The ad spend's going to be terrible. So year over year, Google's fourth quarter earnings are going to be shit. They're going to be terrible. Now, compared to estimates, they might not be that bad, though. But, I mean, look, this thing's about to take another leg down. I think Google's going to $76. Meta, meltdown, and then had a nice bounce. Back up to back test what should have been support and just completely, we've been talking about the old trap door, and Meta felt the trap door for sure. Back testing it, closing the gap. Again, basically hit our target within a couple of dollars, $6 away. But I still think 82, 83 looks like a good target. I mean, but Magma had a nice bounce these last couple of weeks. Amazon giving a decent amount of its move back. It is definitely giving some back. So it looks like it's already ready to go back down to the lows. So I don't know if they're not excited about this year's Christmas spend. But you guys know how I feel about the 886. 886 is useful. We saw a nice bounce off of it. Halfway between the 786 and the 618. Nice bounce, back-to-back test, some resistance. But let's be real. We know the probability of 886 being the macro bottom is less than 5%. less than 5%. You know, there's like a freaking like 3 times higher chance that we like double bottom than the 886 ends up being the bottom. So does not seem likely. Seems much more likely we get a decent move off of $80. And then at that point in time, I mean, the next leg down, we're talking like another 20%. I mean, man, it's tough. You know, we look at a lot of these things, these big names, big performers, and you know, you think like, okay, is Amazon going to go away? Probably not. Are they going to have a year that they lost money? Seems likely at this point in time. You guys know we did the breakdown. We talked about the fundamentals and everything. But I mean, if you buy Amazon right now, 10 years from now, is it higher? I think there's a very high likelihood, yes, like 95%. 5 years from now, it's higher. Or 10 years from now, it's higher. But what happens in the next 2 years is what's really uncertain right now. So, you know, I have a good friend that's all about dollar cost averaging, and he's consistent. And, you know, if that works for you, by all means, do it. But you got to make sure that, you know exactly what you're doing. Are you dollar cost averaging? Are you trading? Are you buying the dip for, you know, a quick scalp? Are you investing? Absolutely need to differentiate. So Ethereum, obviously there's some Ethereum FUD going on right now. You know, scam bankman fraud. Suddenly out of nowhere, FTX got hacked after they filed for bankruptcy. I'm sure it's not like some like nerdy backdoor or anything like that. And they're just like funneling out more funds to like pay lawyers or fund orgies before they go to prison. The best part is though, after they all go to prison, the orgies are free then. They're just not always, well, not the best. I mean, maybe they are. I don't know what Sammy's into, but I imagine he's going to be enjoying himself in there. Or somebody's going to be enjoying him. I don't know. But I mean, who's hacking FTX randomly, suddenly, after it collapses? I'm sure it's just a total coincidence. Or maybe we'll find out later that they got hacked a bunch of times, lost a bunch of funds, and just didn't tell anybody about it. Seems awfully convenient to me, though. Seems more like they're funneling money out of there. So supposedly they're going to be selling a ton of Ethereum, and that was what caused some of this down pressure. I don't know. I can't keep up because I don't have social media. Not because it's like too much information. I just don't use social media. So I'll just use the technicals. Technicals tell me that, yeah, I mean, we shorted up here perfectly. Sold maybe a little too early, but I mean, nice gains, obviously. Nice gains on the way back down. Consolidated, and it looks like we're going much, much lower now. So, you know, I'm sure a lot of people did not close their shorts, but it basically looked like a leg down, a back test of support, and now we're setting up for another leg down. Ethereum had a benefit before that even a substantial breakdown, it wouldn't be taking out the lows. But now it looks like we're coming back down here to sweep the lows for the first time since the capitulation down here. You know, they took us down to under 1,000. So it seems very likely. I mean, now we're at 1134. So you're like, oh, we're going to 1,000. Oh, that's 10%. I mean, but let's be real. I mean, Ethereum's been holding up pretty nicely. So when it starts looking bad, I mean, this is rough right here on the weekly. Man, looks brutal. There's still some hope though. But I mean, that's what crypto's holding on to now is hope, hope and dreams, because there ain't no fundamentals, and the technicals don't look good. So it's literally just hope and dreams. So crypto total on the weekly. You know, another weekly new low on the closes. So new cycle low, the lowest low ever the total crypto market cap has been in this entire run up since we put in the highs. We're now officially back testing December of 2020 levels. That's rough. So, you know, we said it a while back. It sounded ridiculous calling for under a trillion. And then we called for 750 billion. We did it. We made it. We wicked down at first, but now we're just hanging around. So where are we going next? I mean, $534 billion. That's where we're going. The monthly close from 2018. $500 billion. Pathetic crypto. So whatever your favorite crypto is, whatever your main crypto investment is, or whatever cult you pray to or participate in Discord groups with, crypto related. And I'm not being mean, I'm just being honest. Whichever one it is, just figure out, is your crypto the best crypto, or is your crypto the worst crypto? Or on a scale of 1 to 10, where it's at. And then just figure out, well, if we're getting ready to lose 33% of the market cap, is your crypto going to lose more than 33%, or is it going to lose less than 33%? Because crypto is going to lose 33%. Technicals are saying it right now. So if your altcoin is worth 100, it's going to be worth 66. But if it's a really, really good altcoin, it might be worth 72. But if it's a really, really shitty altcoin, it might be worth $50. But if it's the worst altcoin, it might be worth $2, like FTX, like FTT, I mean. So Bitcoin dominance on the weekly, everything included, still hanging out at the lows. Nothing has changed here, just going sideways. Bitcoin without the stable coins compared to the altcoins closed the week above the 8 and 21. Still trying to fight to reclaim this level. Again, looking a lot like another W double bottom. If we break through 50, we probably retest the ascending, what was support as resistance, and then potentially, want to take out that 55, and then we'll see where it goes from there. But we know we don't want to see Bitcoin strengthening compared to altcoins if we're expecting higher prices, because that's not what happens historically. So cheese, the old chili cheese dog. So we lost the 200 exponential. This thing's been holding up real nice. Still above the 200 simple, at the 200 exponential. So still one of the best looking cryptos. Probably a complete scam, trash coin. I know nothing about this whatsoever. And, again, I'm just assuming. I could give it the benefit of the doubt and be like, oh, maybe it's one of the good ones. But, I mean, the actual chart is definitely one of the good ones. In a world of absolutely horrendous, rotten fish in the sea, this one is, palatable. And remember, I love crypto. So imagine what I would say if I didn't like crypto, how mean I would be. I don't think I would be able to be as creative, though, about, how I diss crypto if I actually didn't like it. I would just be like Peter Schiff, and I'm like, it's a scam. It's going to zero. Brr. You, can't even say funny stuff anymore because you just get mad. Solana. Speaking of going to zero, I mean, consistent lower lows. Jesus, Solana. I mean, we talked about potential targets on this. I would just assume it's going to continue towards zero until something changes. Now, I don't see anything that's going to change for Solana. The problem with Solana is that it has a working product. That's Solana's biggest problem, which should be a good thing in a world full of vaporware and white paper marketing schemes, or pyramid schemes or whatever. You would think that having an actual working product would be a good thing, but the problem is when you have a working product and then people see how shitty it is, it's not actually a good thing. So it's way easier to sell the idea of a working product than it is to actually make a working product and have it work well. So the problem with Solana is that it actually does something. It's just not good at doing that thing, which is why it's always getting fudded. But maybe that's just because it's just an awesome project and Ethereum bots are fudding it. That could be it. So Link, Chainlink at the lows, the lowest lows of the cycle, just ready for Wreck City in this pitch. You guys know where the leg down on Chainlink is. $3. $3 holla. That's stinky linky. At $3. And we know exactly when it's going to get there too. Obviously, because we can see where the Fibonacci and the channel line up. And then we can just move this little box right here. And that's it. So, you heard it here first, guys. There's a very, very high likelihood that in January of 2023, Chainlink will be $3. Mark my words. Timestamp it. You guys can mark my words too about when I told you that FTX was a scam. Uh, and what was the other one? What was the other one we called out as a scam and it went to zero? Terra Luna. I was like, that's a fucking scam if I've ever heard one. Like a month later, it was at zero. Congratulations. We did the obvious. We spotted easily. I mean, come on. Nobody was wondering. There was like legitimately actual people that questioned like, where's this yield coming from? As a matter of fact, Peter Schiff was one of those people. He was like, so how do you make the money? But nobody ever answered it. But the answer is obvious. The answer is obvious. People pay you to borrow it to do risky shit with it. You know? And that's okay. As long as you realize that you're loaning your buddy money so he can go try to gamble it in Vegas and you still want to make that bet, that's okay. You're allowed to do that. But I mean, how many times on stream did I say over the last like year? I mean, how many times did I make fun of Cardano specifically, the cult Dano, or the what do they call themselves again? Cardinal beads. I can't think of what their nickname is or what their cult name, whatever it is. But how many times do we talk about it and specifically say like, yeah, sure, okay, have fun staking your Cardano and making 8 or 10% while it goes down 75% in value. And now here we are. It went from $3 to pennies. So you're like, oh, I made 10%, but I lost all my fucking principal. Congratulations. You are a moron. You did it. You did it. You fell for it. The easiest scam in the book. Hold this. I'll be back to buy it at a much lower price. So Avalanche, new lows, just melting down. I would expect it to continue the 1.236 right here at 1146. I mean, crypto's in rough shape right now. Crypto is like the pot stocks of, digital currencies or digital property. You want it eventually. I definitely want to buy some crypto. I want to load up. I want to fill up my bags. I want to, enter into the next bull market all ready to go. But we don't know when that's going to be. And right now, we're literally just making lower lows. So, like, literally as we speak, you're like, what are you doing right now? Like, right now? Yeah, right now. Oh, just putting in the lowest low ever of this cycle. You're like, so you think this is the absolute bottom to the tick, or should I wait? I mean, I would say we should probably wait. Polkadot in rough shape, man. 786. This is it. This is the last line of defense right here. The line in the sand. I mean, the 886 is down here at like 369, but we know that's not reliable. So, I mean, if Polkadot loses $5, it's about to get a 50% haircut. These cryptos look bad, guys. Matic on the daily, still holding up okay. It's above the 200 simple. It lost the 200 exponential. I mean, you guys know where my target is. We're almost to target 1, the 382 at 73 cents. 236 lines up with the weekly 200s as well as the measure move of the breakdown for our little ascending wedge. So 52 cents. Yeah, and then at that point in time, we can look for this to be a higher low and still potentially be bullish. If that's what we want to do. Maybe these cryptos start to decouple. And like we see Cheese and Matic just start like busting nuts in bears' butts. While just every other crypto just melts down. Or most other cryptos. I mean, it's definitely possible. It is possible. I would not bet on, an entire asset class that's like super fucking correlated, like suddenly like decoupling from each other / Bitcoin. But there is potential for that. So BNB, we still have, I don't want to say we're at the line in the sand, but I mean, let's be real. The move from 260, which is where we're at now, down to 205 is a big deal. That's a big deal. And that 205, that's just, that's not where we stop. That's just the like, hey, how's everything going? I don't know, man, not so well, but I'll hang out here for a minute. Okay, what are you doing after this? Going way fucking lower. So, $100, measure move breakdown, $40 really is the target for BNB. And then, at that point in time, let's just say I'm right, okay, which rarely happens. Rarely happens. That's why nobody watches these videos. But let's just say I got lucky. I shook the 8-ball up and I was like, hey, what's BNB price? And even though it only says like yes or no type answers, it was like $40. And then that actually happened. Let's say it happened. What's that look like for the crypto space? Like, is Binance going bust? Are more bad loans showing up? Is Tether imploding? Like, I mean, I don't know. Is this going to be the next domino to fall? Probably not. I'm sure there's a bunch of other shit ready to implode or imploding as we speak behind the scenes where you just can't see it. But I mean, how ironic would it be if CZ tried to be the hero, quote unquote, because that's how he's being like made out to be, for exposing Sam or not bailing out Sam, and then basically causing this whole thing, and then eventually ends up taking down Binance as well. I mean, that would be poetic justice. So I mean, I wouldn't count on that happening, but I wouldn't rule it out. FTT on the daily, looking strong. It's at $1.29. That is pretty good. It was at $25 not long ago, so down 95%. You guys know how I feel about stuff once it goes down 95%. Don't go near it. Should have already took our profits here. So don't get greedy on this one. There's only a couple percent to go. I mean, I don't know what happens to these things. They're dead now. Does it eventually bounce up here and go nuts and go to like $3? Sure. People will be talking about it, whatever. But, I mean, it's not worth it. Anything that's, I mean, you got to be a freaking moron. It's like the Bed Bath & Beyond trade. You're like, I'm going long Bed Bath & Beyond. You're like, aren't they bankrupt? You're like, yeah, but that doesn't mean anything anymore. Oh, okay. So you're buying their bonds or no stocks? Oh, okay. So you don't want any money then. You're just gonna throw this, you're gonna light this money straight on fire. Yeah, that's a plan. That's the plan. Well, I'll just get out before it goes to zero. Oh, okay. Well, aren't they already bankrupt? Yeah. I mean, the company's bankrupt, but the stock's fine. Oh, okay. That makes sense. As long as the stock looks good. So gold, speaking of stocks that don't look good, gold, hit the target. So what's going to happen now? It's going to come back down here and try to swoop the lows. So we shall see. You guys know how I feel about gold and silver. Love them long term, but they look like they are in some serious trouble. We don't want to see them actually topping out here. Silver's at like do or die zone right now. It has literally back tested the neckline now after, basically the underperforming breakout. Should have got up here to like $22.80, but silver couldn't even get its nut. And now it's already back down $22.70. So if it loses this area, I mean, it might as well just go straight to $17 again. Very weak. GSG testing the bottom of the range. So this is it. We're hanging out at the bottom of the range. Obviously, we see a little support here at $20. But the truth is, this thing's looking like $18 if we lose support here. Now, if you think we're just going to keep trading in the channel, I mean, this is it. You buy now, right? Buy the bottom, sell the top. It's a 10% channel, so trade it till it breaks, right? LNG had the big breakdown, getting a little back test, trying to put in a higher low. We will see what happens. We don't know if this is going to be an actual swing right now, but it's worth paying attention to, something along those lines, and then see what happens. You guys know, obviously, I'm looking for the 200s. I'm looking for that previous high. I'm looking for the line without pigment right here at 149. 149, likely to line up with the 200s. Looks like a good opportunity right here. So we shall see. Mosaic at support again, just kind of trading sideways here below the 200s. Retested the bottom of this range so damn many times. Seems likely we're coming down here to retest the lows. So let's just correctly draw that fib right there. The damn chart gremlins in here playing with my emotions. Seems likely we're coming down to like $42. You guys know the macro target though is like 33. So come on, fertilizer. URNM hanging out at the 236. We've talked about this a million times. Looks ready to come back down here and revisit the lows. I think uranium's been hanging on, hanging strong. Keeping that momentum, keeping that hype. But I think it's just a matter of time before this lets up. CCJ, same thing. Was staying strong for a long time. We still have this ascending support line on CCJ, which is nice. But we see it's like tightening up. First we had the green support line right here. Then we started to lose that. Then we had the yellow support line right here. Now we're starting to lose that. Now we literally just have the white horizontal for the lows. So if we come back down here again and test the lowest low, I mean, we have went basically from a parabolic uptrend to a less strong uptrend to a barely hanging on to the uptrend to the start of a bear market to the strengthening of the bear market, and that's just the process. It's the circle of life. I don't know why it's so hard for people to grasp the concept that things can go up for a while and then they got to go down for a while. It's very strange, but it's super simple. If you just keep your emotions out of it, or just use this sweet ass indicator, the best indicator ever created in all the world. Yes. Nice pitch for that. That was very strong. Strong marketing campaign. You should make a crypto. So Tilray, back testing the 200. It's at a rough spot right here. We had the nice move up here. You know, we had a nice trade setup. The trade setup played out. Depending which one you took, 31 to 38%. Hell of a move. Congratulations to all the group members that took advantage of that one. Yeah, nice moves for sure. And again, same thing with crypto as with Tilray or with pot stocks in general. You know, I know I want to own them eventually, but I don't know if they're going to go down another 50% before then or what. So we're looking for momentum to build. We're looking to reclaim these 200s right here and potentially bottom. Now, is our pot stocks going to bottom and everything else continues going lower? Is everything about to bottom? I mean, who knows? I don't think it's crazy to think pot stocks or gold, you know, miners, silver miners, etc., whatever, could potentially go counter trend right now and like all of a sudden break out of these horrible downtrends and start going up while other stuff's going down. I could see it happening. There's definitely potential there. You know, the funny thing about like the actual stock market and companies is like, you know, even if we do go into recession, maybe, you know, there's federal legislation passed that changes things. I mean, it's possible we see some of these companies like double, triple, quadruple, 10x profits. And it's not hard to believe that they could 10x price as well. So, but we do have to be reserved right here because we had a really nice move. Obviously took our profits. You guys know how I do it though. Always keep a little something left over. So, you know, if we have a nice move like this where we move up 40%, you know, we want to get all of our money back out of the market. Now we have an extra 40%. So, you know, maybe we want to log 75% of that into our profits and then keep the other 25% as stock as we're slowly building a position, you know. We got those little crypto crumbs or the, you know, fairy dust. I don't know. I can't think of like weed narratives or whatever. Sorry, guys. I don't. The funny names. What do they call it? Blue trampoline. Alibaba next. So we saw these Chinese pot stocks just get Chinese stocks get absolutely wrecked. Saw a nice bounce off the lows, off the lowest lows. Very aggressive move to the upside. So we're back testing resistance. This was support. It's resistance now. If we move up here, we retested 200s at $100. That's a nice move. That's like 25%. Or we revisit the lows at 62, somewhere around there. Could go either way. Could go either way. Yeah, earnings weren't bad. We did just come all the way from the bearish control zone up to the bullish control zone. So this is a tough one, though. I wouldn't want to be shorting from this area because it seems very likely we could get that pop up to like 100. But, I mean, we'll look for it to do something like oil did where it underperforms. NEO is next. Much, much less of a pop right here. I can't remember if we broke down all these earnings. 69% miss on earnings and less than a percent miss on revenue. Baidu is next. Again, back testing support as resistance. Earnings coming up 22nd. So, what is that? Tuesday then? Yeah, Tuesday. Yeah, I mean, macro, I don't think China's bottoming here. Still a lot of headwinds. I mean, man, they're still dealing with Rona. The whole rest of the world moved on. They're still dealing with that shit. Can you imagine right now them being like, I don't know what country you live in. Maybe it's not that far-fetched, but can you imagine all of a sudden we just go back into lockdowns? Does not even seem possible to me right now. For Rona. I mean, maybe for like war or something, but God forbid. So Target. So it had the meltdown, had a nice little pushback up right here. It's still a massive gap from that sell-off from 177. So does it get a $15 pop? It's possible. I mean, this looks awfully double toppy. You know, for now, though, honestly, like just to keep it neutral, I mean, we're putting in higher lows. So, I mean, this is arguably like an ascending triangle. I mean, we could still come back down here and retest the lows again. But, I mean, we're basically just wedging into this triangle. If only they had like a tool that you could actually use for this. I mean, we could probably figure something out. Come on. I mean, it seems like that's what we got going on now. So, that's technically a bullish pattern. So we come back up here, we close the gap. Maybe we come back down again, come back up again, consolidate for a little bit, and then boom, next thing you know, new all-time highs for TJD. I don't know. It sounds like bullshit, even saying it. Could happen, though. Oh, and this was just leftover from before. So we were talking about Hasbro having that dead cat bounce, but going much lower. All right. Nice. Let me jump over in the chat over here. Eli, what's up, brother? Loud and clear. But I should hope so. I should have looked at that sooner. What's up, lazy boy? Said the G20 countries have saved the world. They have. They are solid. They have excellent policy in general. And if it wasn't for the G20, we would all be in dire straits. There would be energy crises and we would be on the verge of war if it wasn't for the G20. Oh, wait, hang on. What? Oh, okay. That's funny. I hope you've been doing well, lazy boy. Good to see you, man. What's up, Hex Evolve? I remember the days when Link was the gift that kept on giving. Yeah, man. We got into it like pretty solid, about like $1.80 and then like $2.40 and then $3 and rode that thing like a fucking bleeped out analogy on YouTube. You know what? And it's going to be right back down there again. So maybe we'll ride it all the way back up to new highs. Do we get free samples if I invest in these pot stocks? Bro, I mean, I would like to think that if you do well in the pot stocks, you should be able to buy as much quantity as you want. So, I mean, if the potential gains, if the potential gains are realized in the pot stock industry or the mining, gold, silver, whatever other metals industries, I mean, we're talking about like 10, 20, 50 X's. So, yeah, I mean, you should be okay. Matter of fact, right now you can pretty much use like pocket money and buy an entire cannabis company. They're in such rough shape. You can buy them literally for like 10 cents on the dollar. We should all go in and buy our own. Hexivol says, do we get, that was an old one. Dagoshi says, crazy how CZ nuked FTX in a night. Yeah, I mean, the truth is though, there's probably more to it than anybody really knows. I mean, let's be real. If you're in the business, like if you're a car dealership or something like that, and there's other like competing car dealerships, you have a pretty good idea like how you're doing. You could like kind of like, I spy the other car dealership across the road or across town and see, does it look like they're selling a bunch of cars? Maybe you talk to a couple of employees or whatever. You can do a little snooping around. You have an idea how much cash they should have, how many cars they should be selling. You can gauge, whether or not things look kosher. I suspect probably a lot of other, crypto related players. I'm not the only one who was like sniffing this stuff out, obviously. CZ's not the only one who was sniffing this stuff out. I mean, it was pretty obvious to a lot of people that there was shady ass stuff going on. I mean, as soon as I saw, like we were talking about the yield farming a while ago. And, again, I reiterated this stream. But let's be real. If somebody's paying you too good to be true money to borrow your money, they're doing fucked up shit with it. So you're probably never going to get it back. Now, there's a possibility I give my money to my buddy. He takes it to, Las Vegas and he doubles it. And then he just says, okay, that's it. I doubled it. I quit. I'm going to give him back his money. And then I'm going to keep the money I just won and everybody wins. Sure. Like anybody ever fucking does that. Okay, you could 10x the money and greed takes over and you still don't cash out. And then you end up, scam Bankman fried. And it's unfortunate, but, that's what happens. That's why those loans are risky. That's why duration or, the intent of the party is so important. And, you know, that's the problem with all this yield farming and shit like that. Like, I'm not saying that banks aren't greedy and they could be paying people like 3% interest. Sure, they could. But there's no fucking earth. There's no existence, no ever way possible that anything can pay you 12 or 20% interest and not be doing some disgusting stuff with your money. So, you know, understand that. It's gone forever. When someone promises you 12% of your money, if you can't run away as fast as possible, it's gone forever. They just robbed you. And that's okay. You can learn from it. Yeah, that's exactly right. 100%. Scam, bankrupt, fraud. I've heard some pretty good ones so far. So, but yeah, I think that's it for today. So yeah, sorry if I missed you guys on Friday, or sorry if you missed me, I should say. I missed you guys, obviously. But I also enjoyed myself, which is, you know, sometimes more important. And part of why I enjoy being a, you know, trader, YouTuber, whatever the hell we're doing, you know, is we can take a little time off if things aren't exciting. And the market's basically been going sideways in that triangle forever. We're only now just really getting the break and the threat, which seems likely that we're headed to new cycle lows. But that's it for today. I'll catch you guys on Wednesday for our midweek market update. I'll see the group members in the group. A couple of people have asked me if I'm going to do like a Black Friday sale for the group or whatever. If you're interested in joining the group, you're not already a group member, I'll do something special for you. I'm not really big on like sales or whatever. I'm more just like, here's just a reasonable price and we'll just do that. But I get it. I get it. So reach out to me if you're interested. But we can go and wrap it up there. Everybody have a great night. Appreciate each and every one of you. Make sure you smash the like button, subscribe, blah, blah, blah. Obviously, you guys are all subscribers. If not, fucking do it right now. Don't make me tell you again or ask you or mean mug you. But yeah, that's it. Everybody have a great night. I'm out of here. Catch you guys on the flip side. See you on Wednesday for the 8 p.m. stream. That being said, remember, none of this is financial advice. I'm not your financial advisor. These markets are extremely volatile. Please do your own research, trade responsibly. If you do listen to anything I say for anything other than entertainment or educational purposes, you will end up living in a van down by the river, which is unfortunate, unless you're into that stuff, in which case, you're welcome. So that's it. Everybody have a great night. It is 9:04 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on 11/20/2022. And man, that just kills me. 11/20/2022. I don't know why that just rolls off your fucking tongue. But that's it. Crypto Trend Trader, I'm out of here.